Hey everyone, how's it going? David Horowitz here, CEO and co-founder of Retrium. Today I want to talk to you about vulnerability and trust on your teams. I've been a part of many different teams. And on the one hand, I've been fortunate enough to be a part of really rocking teams, teams that are so good, not only at the product that they are producing, but also at being a trusting environment, a team where we all wanted to spend time with each other outside of work, where we felt like we could be open and honest with each other about our strengths and our weaknesses. Those teams were so much fun to be on that today I want to talk to you about how to get there if you're on the other type of team, which are teams where we don't really trust each other very much. We aren't really open with each other about what we're good at, what we're not good at. And ultimately, those latter teams suffer from one big problem, which is that people don't feel comfortable being vulnerable in that latter context. Vulnerability is so important because if you're open and comfortable with being vulnerable about your weaknesses with others, inherently that means you trust them. Inherently, it means that you have a relationship with them that is built on a sound, solid basis because you feel okay being more vulnerable with them. So it's important if you're in that latter context, a team that isn't really functioning very well, to start working at being more vulnerable. And how can you do that? Well, you certainly cannot do that by telling somebody, you should be more open with me about your mistakes. Obviously, that's not going to work. We all know it. So what would work? The only thing you actually have control over, it's yourself. The only way to start creating a work environment where you are okay being more vulnerable with your colleagues is to be more vulnerable yourself. So practically, what does that mean? How can you open up? How can you be more vulnerable when you don't really have a trusting relationship with your team? It takes guts, it takes courage, but I'm going to share with you two ideas on how you can do it. The first idea on how you can become more vulnerable with your team is to put up on a wall, maybe in your team room, what I like to call the oops wall, the mistakes wall. This is a place where when you make a mistake, you don't hide it. You don't question, should I tell people about it or not? No, you advertise that mistake. You go right up to your oops wall. You write down on a sticky note, I made a mistake today doing X, Y, or Z, and you put it up there. Don't ask your team for permission about this. Don't ask your manager for permission of how can I create an oops wall? Just do it. Just put it up there. People are going to say, what in the world, David? What is that? What is this oops wall? But they'll probably find it funny, right? And then if they find it funny, they may actually start contributing to the oops wall also. And all of a sudden, you've gone from I'm advertising my mistakes to the entire team is advertising mistakes that they make. Because we all make mistakes on a daily basis. And the more that they're out there, the more vulnerable we can become about those mistakes, the more trust we can have in each other on our team. The second way that you can increase vulnerability by taking action yourself is to intentionally ask for help when you don't understand something. So many of us don't do this. We don't understand something. What do? We go to Google and we say, Dear Google, can you solve my problem? I don't understand X. We type in a search term. Or instead we go to someone like our mentor and ask them, I don't quite understand X, Y, or Z. Can you help me understand that better? But those things are being vulnerable in private, in already trusting situations. Instead, what you can do is go to your colleague who you don't have that open of a relationship with and say, you know what, Mary, I don't really understand the whole point of the sprint backlog refinement meeting. As the Scrum Master, could you just help me understand that a bit more? By asking them about something you don't understand that you know they have knowledge on, you're creating vulnerability. You're creating trust between the two of you. And then it's more likely that the next time Mary doesn't understand something, that she will be more comfortable opening up about that to you and ask for you for advice. And if you keep doing that between all of the different people on your team, you've gone from a situation that is high in vulnerability to a situation that is high in trust. And that's something we should all be going after. So it might sound odd at first glance, intentionally increasing vulnerability, but by doing so, you increase trust levels on your team. And that's something that's very helpful for all of us as we try to work together on a daily basis. I'll say one last key word about this, which is, how does this all relate back to retrospectives? After all, this is a retrospective quick tip video. So of course, retrospectives are only as good as the people and the inputs in the retrospective. So if you have a bunch of people who aren't willing to be open and honest with each other in the retro, good luck having an effective one. Doesn't matter what facilitation technique you use, doesn't matter how often you run them. You're not going to be successful because you're not having real insights and real input and open feedback in that retrospective. So by continuously practicing vulnerability, increased levels of vulnerability can lead to better retrospectives at the end of your sprint. Thanks very much, everybody. Again, I'm David Horowitz, CEO and co-founder of Retrium. We make a tool to help your enterprises run better distributed retrospectives. Check us out, retrium.com. Have a good one, everybody.